can start.
We are live. I want to remind everybody that the first annual Intergalactic Imagination Connoisseurs Film Festival is going on. I think we're going to have world premieres all week long. I can't wait to see your film. You are making a film, aren't you? Yes, you should be, because everybody should. It's fun. You'll learn something about yourself. Well, Elizabeth, there you are. There's your great picture.
Thank you.
The ace, the Xevious True.
Yes, I love it.
It's great, right? Tonight we're talking about An American Werewolf in London, the first movie to ever win an Academy Award for visual effects for special effects makeup.
Oh, I could see that.
Special makeup effects,
Yeah.
transformation scene.
Yep. That's...
Done in a fully lit room.
Yeah, fully lit. That's true.
Fully lit.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yep.
Well, we're John Landis. I don't know if I have to make these intros where... Oh, I've screwed that one up anyway. I forgot to change the director. Look what I did. Forget it. Let's go back to this.
Director.
Oops, wrong director.
Oh, man, Rob.
Now, let's go back to John Landis, 1981. See, I forgot to change it on the animation. Sometimes it doesn't render out. So now we're back to An American Werewolf in London.
Well, you should, yeah.
Well, no, it's fixed. Anyway, Post-Geek Singularity, Together We Are One, and all that.
We're just winging it.
We are winging it. Well, greetings, Imagination Connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your Master of Fun and Wonder, your Viceroy of Verisimilitude, and your Sommelier of Cinema. But you don't want to hear about me. Enough about me. You want to hear from this lovely creature right here. Who are you? What might you be?
I am Elizabeth Gwendolyn Bell. I am the ace, the arbiter of cinematic excellence, and the enchantress of entertainment.
Oh, it's going to be another one of those shows. I got accused of pre-gaming yesterday. There was no pre-gamage.
No pre-gamage.
We were just happy-go-lucky. I think we're going to be the same way today.
We were just very chill and just talking about all kinds of stuff. Well, I wasn't... Never mind. I'll get into it later. What?
Oh, I was going to talk about the research I did about local satanic cults, but I
Oh,
just kidding. I'm just kidding. That's not this movie.
no.
This is not that. This is not a devil. This
is not a devil movie.
It's not a devil movie. This is more classic werewolf.
That's right.
Story, and very excited. But did you, Elizabeth Gwendolyn Bell? You've announced yourself. We're good.
Yes, I did.
So we can have our wine now.
Yes, we can.
Now this is another Trader Joe's special, Bezzy. It's another Pinot Noir. We love our Pinot Noir here.
Yes,
we drink
we
a lot of it. Why don't you give me your lovely glass, and I will fill you up.
Fill it up.
Little Pinot Noir. This is John Landis' movie. He made this after Animal House and the Blues Brothers. And this movie came out in 1981. And it's considered really a comedy, drama, horror film. So cheers to that. It has a lot of excess in the movie, too. Excess car crashes.
Okay, so he made Animal House, you're saying?
Yes, John Landis made Animal House, and he made the Blues Brothers.
Okay, this is making more sense for me.
Oh, it is. What did you call this movie?
Did I call it something?
You said it was what kind of a movie?
I don't remember.
You said it was a guy movie. This is such a guy movie, you kept saying.
No,
By the way, we watched the new Arrow release, this beautiful release from Arrow box set. It's very cool. I love these Arrow box sets. They're great. I haven't even drank this yet. Let's
taste our wine. Why don't we?
It's good.
It's yummy.
It's really good. So, okay, you call this a guy movie.
A dude movie.
A dude movie. That's what you said, a dude movie. Why did you call this a dude movie?
It makes so much sense now that you say you made Animal House, too. Like, yeah, total dude movie. This is a dude movie.
I know, but why do you say that? What about it makes it a dude movie?
Because, it's two American dudes talking about, first of all, as they're hiking around in northern England, they're talking about some girl, and all they talk about is how hot her body is. And that she has no personality.
Don't you think that has verisimilitude?
Sure, yeah, it does. But then, so then after he's in the hospital, the nurse invites him to her house. She totally hits on him, invites her. That's totally a dude's wet dream. This beautiful nurse, is, first of all, feeding
Played by
him.
the delicious Jenny Agutter from Logan's Run and Walkabout.
Yeah. She, like, feeding him by sitting, like, really close to him and feeding him his dinner. And then she invites him to her apartment.
Well, I mean, to be fair, his friend was murdered. He's not in his right mind, and she has got that Florence Nightingale syndrome thing going on. She is a nurse, and
But I'm explaining to you why this is a dude movie.
Yeah, but do you think that gets in the way of the believability of what's happening? Do you not believe that Jenny Agutter would act this way?
No.
Why not?
No. I just don't. I don't. And then, like, they've known each other, what, for 2 days?
Well, but he's been in the hospital for a while, so he's been interacting with her.
Okay, so she's known him for a week.
Well, something like that, yeah. No, because he was out for 3 weeks, they said.
All right, fine.
So she's had a long
known him for
time.
a month, and they're, like, in love with each other.
All right, he's a boy that needs saving.
And
she's
saying,
a nurse.
This felt very... And then he meets up with Jack in a XXX movie theater.
Where the movie See You Next Tuesday is playing.
Yes.
See You Next Wednesday, actually.
Wednesday.
I'm sorry. I was thinking of something else.
I'll gladly pay you on Tuesday.
No. See You Next Wednesday is actually a catch. John Landis works that phrase into all of his movies.
Where did it originate?
I don't know. But he always puts that See You Next Wednesday in his movie somewhere. In the case of this film, it was the porno movie. It's called See You Next Wednesday, which is one of the most hilarious porno movies. People keep coming in.
It's hilarious. It's
so
funny.
I've never met this one. I've never met you before in my life. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
So, well, this is a comedy, drama, horror film. And so you think it's a dude movie, that you don't believe it.
It's a dude movie. But it's a comedy, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be believable. I mean, in that way. It's funny. It's silly.
Well, I would say that, we've been on this kick talking about with Rosemary's Baby and with Let the Right One In, peak verisimilitude. You're clearly in a, the realism is what adds to those films. And in a way, this movie takes something that's, you have vampirism and Let the Right One In. This movie is dealing with werewolves, and werewolves are, it's the most fantasy of all.
Yeah.
Because, you're literally transforming into a giant...
Right.
lycanthrope.
It's true. It's very fantastical.
It's very fantastical, but it's the way that they go about it. It's set in these very real world. It starts out in the moors of northern England.
Right, which is cool.
But then you get into...
And I love the scene when they go to the pub.
To the slaughtered lamb.
Yeah, that whole scene, like, you're like, oh, this is so weird. They're being so weird. Who are these people? Like, what's going on?
Because they knew. They knew they have a werewolf problem, and apparently they live with it. They know that once a month they've got a werewolf problem, and everybody, they don't talk about it, but they've had they got the pentagram on the wall,
which I thought was so cool.
Yeah, and
there's your little bit of a devil.
I guess you're right. I guess you could say that the werewolf problem was actually satanic in nature.
Maybe.
Which once again brings me back to joining a cult. Joining the cult.
I thought maybe that the people in the pub were part of a cult. The cult of the wolf.
Well, yeah, but they're enablers.
They are enablers.
They have a werewolf problem, and once a month, apparently, they know that the werewolf's coming. They gather in the pub. They don't do anything about it.
No, they just hide in the pub. They just hide in the pub.
Is that because they know the guy who turns into the werewolf? They must. He's from their neighborhood.
Yes.
So they know he's out there, but...
They know he's out there.
So they just, sacrifice a sheep to him? There's an interesting backstory.
True.
There's an interesting backstory here that you don't really have answered. It's why do the people in this town allow this to occur?
Well, how can they stop it?
Well, they have to kill the werewolf, which they end up doing. So why didn't they do that in the first place? Maybe because he was their friend.
There's holes in this movie.
Well, I don't know. I don't think there's necessarily holes.
Yeah, they could have They easily killed him. They could have killed him 200 years earlier.
Well, no, because it looks like, that's a real question. As we find out, the whole idea of there's a great werewolf mythology put forward in this movie.
This wine is really good.
It's really good. There's a big werewolf mythology, which is that if you are killed by a werewolf, you are one of the undead. You're doomed to walk the earth until the bloodline of the werewolf is destroyed.
Right, that was interesting.
I thought that was very interesting.
That was very interesting. I liked that idea.
And Griffin Dunn, who plays Jack, in the beginning, you've got David and Jack, these two friends, and they're just bumming around Europe.
Yeah, which is totally believable.
They're gonna go to Italy. Yeah, but it's funny. They're in the middle of nowhere in the northern England. Like I don't know what brought them to northern England.
And then when they leave the pub, they tell them to stay on the road and look out for the moon. And what do? They wander off of the road.
Yeah, but they weren't paying that much attention. They were talking, and
Yeah, but when they left the pub, they're like, that was weird. You'd think you'd pay attention.
Well, perhaps. Are you saying that the arbiter of cinematic excellence is saying that there's many questions and holes opened up by this film?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was weird. Like, wouldn't you stay on the road and it's dark? The only light you have is the full moon?
Well, yeah.
I guess two young guys might just not be paying attention.
Yeah, they're just, I mean, it is the moors. It was dark out. It's not like everything's lit. So.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't, and they did notice that they wandered off the road.
Yeah, after they heard the werewolf.
But I mean, okay.
And then another thing is they're like, what is that? Oh, it's coyotes. And then they don't even bring up wolf. Like, it's howling. They're like, oh, it's a dog, it's a coyote. They don't say like it's a wolf. I thought that was.
Well, there's the joke about there are no coyotes in northern England or
Right.
in England at all.
That was a funny joke.
Well, okay, so the setup, you have many things that are getting in the way of your enjoyment of the setup for this movie.
Well, I mean, when you realize it's comical, it's supposed to be kind of light and funny.
Yeah, but for a light and funny movie,
this
movie gets really brutal.
It gets very brutal.
And
so yeah, I mean, the fact that it's kind of funny too.
Yeah, well, so
you kind of forgive the plot holes and stuff.
So yes, but there are questions, and I was watching this movie again. I love this movie, and watching it again, there are questions that I never thought of. I have not seen this movie in a long time. It's probably been 10 years since I watched this last, or whenever I got the Blu-ray when it first came out.
Yeah.
I had not watched this new transfer, which, by the way, is gorgeous. The transfer is gorgeous. One of the things that bothered me, though, watching it this time, was when David and Jack are attacked by the werewolf. Jack is ripped up. David is wounded.
Yes.
Why did the townspeople not then and there kill David as well, knowing that
he was going
to he's going to become a werewolf? And
exactly.
And so they dressed his wounds and they just sent him to London.
Yeah.
The people in this town sent a new werewolf to the city that is the most populated city in the UK.
Yeah.
The biggest city of the UK.
Well, that's why that young guy, the pub guy.
Well, yeah, when the doctor.
He was, he thought that was not a good idea.
So Jack is dead, and David gets sent to the hospital in London, and you get to meet John Woodvine as Dr. Hirsch, who's I love him. He's a great actor.
Yeah,
great. He's like the scientific presence, and he's not completely he doesn't poo-poo the idea of being a werewolf at all. I mean, I don't think he really thinks David transforms into a giant wolf, but
right.
The idea that it could be a psychosis or something. So
yes, right.
So he's actually tracking down what happened. He thinks something is sketchy about the actual whatever happened is being covered up. And so he's trying to nurse David back to health. Jenny Agutter is nursing David back to health.
Yes, she is.
Yes, she is. And eventually David gets released from the hospital and goes and shacks up with Jenny Agutter.
Yeah.
But he does not yet know that they were attacked by a werewolf until...
Wait, what?
David doesn't know.
Well, at that point, Jack had already visited him. By the time he's living with...
Oh, right. But before he was out of the hospital, Jack first shows up.
Yeah.
And in his most recent... He looks to be his most recent kill.
Deceased.
Like he was freshly killed.
Yes, freshly killed.
So he's still bleeding.
So he's not green.
He's not green. He's and he still
moldy.
has skin. And he's got it's great. I mean, it's a really disturbing effect. It's Rick
and
Baker.
There's a piece of skin that dangles.
Yeah,
it's
it's so great. And then Jack says, "Look, David, you're a werewolf, and you have to kill yourself.
Kill yourself, and like I'm wandering the earth, not dead or alive, because you need to kill yourself."
Yeah.
And of course he doesn't believe him, and he thinks he's just dreaming, and he does have weird, disturbing dreams.
Yeah, he starts dreaming about running in the woods. He dreams about slaughtering animals and eating them.
Yeah, then he dreams about these masked people shooting down his family.
Nazi werewolves.
Are those Nazi werewolves?
Yeah, they're Nazi werewolves. Those straight up Nazi werewolves. Because they have they're wearing Nazi costumes.
They are?
The ones that break into his house.
Oh, I didn't pay attention.
Yeah,
to that.
They're the greatest Nazi werewolves ever.
Nazi werewolves.
You can never go wrong with Nazi werewolves.
There should be a whole movie about Nazi
There should
werewolves.
be. I think there is.
Oh.
I think there is. But Nazi werewolves, those, and these dreams are, they get increasingly. I mean, they're hardcore, and it's one of the first like the dreams within the dreams. You think he's woken up,
right?
And then Jenny Agutter walks to the window, and there's another Nazi wolf.
Yes, and it stabs her, but then he wakes up.
Yep. So his subconscious already knows he's a werewolf and is putting in these dreams.
Right. Yes. So when he finally goes to live with the nurse, he knows the whole thing, but I don't think he believes it yet.
Yeah, no, he's heard it. He doesn't believe it.
He doesn't believe it. And it's going to be a full moon, and so Jack is trying to get him to kill himself before the full moon, because he's like, you're going to hurt people. And so he doesn't listen to him, and then sure enough, he turns into a werewolf.
And what it's still, even though this was done 39, so it was made in 1980, this was done 40 years ago, the physical transformation has lost none of its power.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
When David turns into a werewolf, because it's all practical effects, and I mean you can tell that they're obviously, but it's done so well. It still really, really works.
So when his snout grows, is that like stop motion?
No, they've actually got a prosthetic, probably a foam. Yeah, they've got a piece that's pushing out.
Oh.
And the way, I mean, this transformation is incredibly complex. And, the hand stretch. In Fangoria magazine, they had lots.
Hand.
Yeah, so the hand stretches out. And, I mean, it's great.
And then the hair growing out.
Yeah, which you put it out and then you pull it back and run the film back. So you have the hair and you run the film back.
Of course.
Yeah. No, and that's what won this movie an Academy Award. And when this movie came out, there was another movie called The Howling that Rob Bottin, who did the effects for John Carpenter's The Thing, he did the Howling transformation effects, and those two movies, Howling and American Werewolf. And there was another movie that came out called Wolfen. That was
all these werewolves.
Yeah, there was, but Wolfen was about real. Wolfen's a different kind of a movie, but they all kind of were these battling werewolf films. Something was in the water, I guess, in the early '80s. People love their werewolves.
Yeah, I mean, but also vampire movies all come together, and werewolf movies all come together.
But it's interesting because Howling is based on a book by Gary Bradner, and Wolfen was based on a book by Whitley Strieber. So those are literary based. This was an original screenplay that John Landis he wrote and directed this movie.
Of course he did. Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
So David David as a wolf massacres a bunch of Londoners.
He does. He kills 6 people. And then he wakes up in the morning and he's in the zoo, in the wolf enclosure.
He's one smart werewolf. That werewolf had to ask himself, I wonder if there's a zoo. And if there is, do they have a wolf enclosure? Maybe I'll go check it out.
Well, I think it was more instinctual, like a wolf. Like he smelled them and he felt tired.
Yeah,
and
but what if he's on the other side of the city?
With his kind.
Well, I think that's what he would do, but I mean,
wolves travel miles and miles and miles. That's not a big deal to travel as a wolf. And London is not that big that a wolf couldn't, cross the city and get to the zoo.
A naked American man stole my balloons.
That's the best line.
So yes, he wakes up naked.
He wakes up naked with the wolves.
And
you get to see Peen.
There's Peen, yeah. There's Peen. Looks like he's got quite the sausage, that David McNaughton.
I think so.
He's got and of course the nurse points out that he's Jewish, so representing for my
Right.
people.
Well,
You know?
many people get circumcised, not just Jews.
But not I know, but I mean having the large kielbasa. He's packing the weaponry. I like that. No, there's a love scene in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes on. It's a long love scene.
It is.
It's not very explicit, but it goes on
No,
for
you do see her boobs.
You get a little boobage. Not enough for my taste.
You could have paused it.
No, you don't know. It just... It's Jenny Agutter. I mean, she's naked in Walkabout. She was naked in Logan's
you've
Run.
Seen her.
She's less naked in this movie than others.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know. What are you going to do? But it makes up for it with bloodletting. There's a lot of good gore.
There's a lot of gore.
And it does have I told you, I pointed out my favorite shot in this movie.
Oh,
is
yes.
when you're on top of the escalator in the subway in the tube.
Yeah.
And the guy's on the escalator, and you see the wolf walk out from the top of the frame. I love
that a great shot.
Mm-hmm. The only thing about this movie that I would say is a lot of the face shots of the wolf when the wolf comes to, they're a little sketchy.
Yeah, I mean,
because they didn't have a wolf that had an articulated.
Yeah, it didn't look good, and it doesn't blink or anything. It doesn't look good. They should have had it in the shadows.
Yeah.
I think it would have looked more realistic, but I don't think that he was going for realistic.
I mean, the final wolf form is kind of cuddly.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, if he wasn't snarling and had blood in his mouth, he'd be pretty cuddly.
And here's another thing, when they discover the wolf in the XXX theater, they shut the door, and then a crowd forms around. You'd think people would scatter, that they would run away, and then when they corner it in the alley again, people just gather. I would have been out of there.
Okay, I got a verisimilitude problem for you.
What?
When David transforms into a werewolf in Jenny Aguttter's apartment, how does he get out of the apartment?
The door was open. He left the door open all
But not
day
the
long.
door to the apartment.
Yeah. Yeah, remember he goes outside and he's bored.
No,
he's
but
bored
I mean
all day long. And then even when he's transforming, they show you that the door is open.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's something I missed. There you go.
The door to the apartment is open.
All right. Well, then that's the way the wolf can get out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He's a pretty big wolf, though.
Well, the door is open, so...
I guess he could fit through that door.
Not just unlocked. It was open, open that much. So, of course, he could just swing it open and go.
And Dr. Hirsch and Alex are very concerned because David has disappeared after his night out killing people.
Right.
Waking up at the zoo.
Yeah, the doctor reads the newspaper.
The doctor reads, and then... The doctor knows, man. The doctor knows what's up.
And at this point, the nurse is not, she still doesn't really believe it. Even when the doctor is talking to her, she's like, oh yeah, he's here. Oh yeah, he's fine. Yeah, I'll bring him to you.
Mm-hmm.
But then it hits her when the taxi driver is like, did you hear about the murders?
Yeah.
People all over this city torn apart.
And
then the look on her face and the look on his face, and they're both like,
well, he knows he's a monster.
Shit, this is real.
Well, I mean, you'd think that David would have taken it more seriously, seeing that he's being visited by his dead friend.
Right? But he thinks it's a dream.
Right, I know. He thinks it's not real. But it is real.
Would you believe it if a dead friend visited you?
Yeah, because I've seen this movie. I'd be like, you know what? No, because here's the thing. I never understand why in movies like this. I don't like movies where the people that are in the movies, the characters in the movies, apparently have never seen any horror movies or never have had any experience with the supernatural. If your dead friend shows up and you can converse with them. Yeah,
but a movie is a movie. Reality is not like that.
I understand, but David's having these dreams about being
reality, would you believe a ghost visiting you in reality? No.
Well, yeah, because I would know if it was real. It's not like I was sleeping. It's not like he was asleep. He gets up and Jack comes walking into his room. Hi, David. I like when he makes the little Mickey Mouse wave when he's in her apartment.
Yeah, and what's with the Mickey all over the place? And then the Muppets. And the
Frank Oz, for some inexplicable reason.
Fozzie Bear was...
Frank Oz shows up as
I didn't even know it was him. I was like, isn't that
No, he's the voice of Yoda.
Isn't that the Muppets?
That's this is right after Frank Oz performed Yoda. Maybe that's why he was in London. He was probably in London when they were shooting this.
Right.
Because he was there working on Empire Strikes Back, and John Landis is like, come be in this movie.
Right. And then in the dream, his siblings are watching the Muppets.
Yeah.
Which is what I did every Saturday night. I couldn't wait.
So, yes. And then, of course, David runs away. He wants to take his own life, but he can't do it. And then, of course, Jack meets him again. They go into the porno theater, and Jack shows him all the people he killed the night before.
Right. They're all there.
They're all there.
And the couple are laughing. They think they're like dopey, which I thought was silly because the other ones are mad at him.
They're mad, but they're together.
The couple, like they're about to get married. They're like in love.
But they're gonna get to go to the afterlife together.
Achoo!
They're gonna be forever in almost wedded bliss.
Okay. That was a little goofy.
But I mean, that's what I like about this. It's kind of charming, right?
It is. Yes.
I mean, I love the conceits, the idea, this whole idea.
I do too.
The undead and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate this movie. I think it's got whimsy.
There is whimsy in this movie.
Which I love.
There's a lot of whimsy, but I do think tonally it jumps around a lot.
It does.
Like it goes from these really vicious dream sequences, and then the kill sequences are pretty. I mean, you don't really see, but you do. You see carnage, and then it goes from carnage to humor, and back, and then finally, when the second night, because it's still a full moon, he transforms in the pornographic theater and causes a ruckus in Piccadilly Circus. And there's a totally gratuitous car chase sequence, or crash sequence.
The car crash sequence was so silly. I mean, it really was silly.
People going through windows.
Falls, like the double-decker bus, when he flies out of the window and then gets run over by a car. And then people get smushed between cars. Like, it's just like this constant silly.
No, it was definitely Blues Brothers-esque in its like, car carnage. I think John Landis had car carnage on the brain.
Yeah.
But it is a little goofy because it suddenly it goes places where you're like, wait, why?
Yeah,
why?
So that's why
it's not about the central like I don't understand from the standpoint. Every time I watch the movie, I always think, am I going to find some more insight into why he decided to do this car crash sequence, as opposed to you've got a giant werewolf that could be tearing people's heads off.
I'm telling you, this is such a dude movie. It's like, oh, let's have this cool car crash sequence. Ooh, we'll have this guy fly out of the window and get smushed.
Well, yeah.
Oh, and we'll put him in a porno theater, and it'll be so funny when he transforms. The guy will think he's like masturbating.
Well, yes, all of those things are true.
I'm telling you, it's such a dude movie. But that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. I mean, okay, it's a little confusing because at first it feels pretty serious, especially like in the pub. And so you're thinking, oh, am I supposed to take this film seriously? And then when the goofy stuff comes, you're like, wait, how am I supposed to take this seriously?
No, I do think...
Is this supposed to be goofy or is this supposed to be serious?
No, I do think that tonally, especially watching it now, like, look, when this movie came out, there was nothing like it.
Right.
It came out at what was interesting about, like, from like 1975, the decade between 75 and 85, there were so many great genre films that came out, so many classic, like we did Phantasm, Exorcist. I mean, Exorcist was a little earlier, but Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah.
And then, of course, all the science fiction films. It was really a golden age. So when you got something like this frothy mix of comedy and romance and really horror, gore-ridden
Yes.
horror, it was a mix that hadn't really been seen like this before. And we'd had slasher movies. The slasher movie craze was arguably at its zenith, or maybe not, because we hadn't seen Nightmare on Elm Street come out, but still, you had slasher movies like the Terror Train and Prom Night and The Burning, and so that was a big deal. But these werewolf films, the three Wolfen is very, very serious. But The Howling and American Werewolf, Howling was directed by Joe Dante. It's very much like this. It's tongue-in-cheek. It's horror, but then it's comedic as well.
Okay.
But I do think that the viciousness of this movie, combined with the comedy, was sort of, it's interesting to go back and look at it now because you're wondering, well, how is this all going to work together? And it certainly ends. It has one of the bleakest endings of any movie I think I've ever seen in the horror genre. I mean,
true.
David, after all this, and his friend gets killed. You know, I always thought that the movie was missing something, and I'll tell you what I think it's missing.
Yes, tell me.
The end of this movie, it ends with David, shot dead in the alleyway with her watching.
Right, and then it's over.
I think this movie should have ended with David and Jack together. Jack basically almost skeletal, and David, and they're walking off on the moors where the movie started together.
Oh, that would have been great.
They walk off, and they disappear. They get to go to the afterlife together as friends.
Yes, that would have been an excellent
I always thought it was
ending.
strange that they didn't do that.
Yeah.
You know,
they didn't resolve that. Like all those people that were undead.
No, they didn't. I mean, you just assume. And I always wondered, did they shoot more, but they just decided to end the movie there?
Maybe.
Because it almost ends like Jenny Aguilar's crying, and you see dead David, and then it starts right
with this light-hearted music.
I mean, you're like, it was jarring. Like
it is jarring.
But I still really like this movie. I mean, it sounds like we're bagging on it a little too hard, but I mean, I really like this movie a lot. I think it's definitely a genre classic. But watching it now, there's things about it as I've gotten older. I mean, I saw this movie in the theater when it opened, and I loved it, you know, and I've loved it over the years. But watching it now, it's strange. I didn't love it as much watching it now as I used to. Going back and watching it, there's just structural issues. I mean, you know, I got this on videotape early on. Universal put it out, and it was one of those movies that I watched as a teenager 100 times. You know, you always show this movie to people. Hey, let's watch American Werewolf. And but now, you know, I'm happy to have this beautiful edition of it. But it's interesting to look back 39 years.
Did you just get this?
Recently. It's pretty new.
Why are there two?
It's a book.
Oh.
Yeah. It's an Arrow special edition.
Look, it has this on the back.
I know. I know. Beware the moon and stick to the roads. Oops. So, yeah, I mean, I really do like this movie, though. What do you think of it?
Because I didn't see it in the 80s. The first time I saw this was only a few years ago when my best friend and I started watching horror, and we decided to go. Yeah,
because you're a Seventh-day Adventist, so you didn't watch horror films when you were
love
younger.
Bringing that up. Anyway, we decided we were going to start watching.
So if you were a Satanist, you could watch whatever horror you want. You wouldn't have to be.
I was never a Satanist.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. You're a Seventh-day Adventist.
I was.
So you couldn't watch horror films.
No, I did not. And like I said, the devil really scared me.
As he should.
So anyway, when we decided we were going to watch horror films, neither of us watched them before. Not really, just a few. And so we decided to go in slowly and lightly by watching some older ones. So this is one of them. And I remembered, like...
It's funny, when you say older horror movie...
Not thinking it was that scary, even then.
It's not that scary. There's a lot of good jump scares.
Yes, I do jump. I jump.
You jumped. Jump scares. But it's not...
I scare easily, so... It's
not atmospheric. It doesn't build up a lot of tension.
No, and because of the goofiness, it's not that scary.
But when you say older horror films, I think, like the 30s and 40s, like Bride of Frankenstein.
Dude, the 80s, that was a long time ago.
But
I'm
see,
sorry, babe.
I lived through it all, so I was there when these...
So did I.
These movies are not old to me.
They are old, babe. I'm sorry, they're old.
Well, that means, look, I guess I'm old too by definition, but still, this movie is 39 years old.
That's old.
And when I started watching movies, I mean, if you think about it, in 1980, you know, if you talk about a movie that was 39 years ago, I mean, you're talking, what is that, 41?
Yeah, that's old.
That was old. So it's I guess it's funny that these now people look at American Werewolf as like, oh, it's a classic.
Yes.
I'm like, classic?
Yep.
I mean, tomorrow our movie tomorrow is 40 years old.
What are we watching tomorrow? This whole thing?
Not the whole thing.
Oh, Friday the 13th.
Yep. Friday the 13th, the original.
Yes, that's tomorrow.
That is
Friday
tomorrow.
the 13th.
Yep.
Where's the list? Oh, here it is. And then what's after Friday the 13th? The Witch.
The Witch.
I picked that one.
The Witch is great. I love... The Witch is probably my favorite. I mean, The Witch, The Invitation. One of my favorite modern horror films.
So good.
So good.
We didn't put The Invitation on here.
We did not put The Invitation on there. We should have.
Yeah.
The Invitation's a great cult movie about a real cult. Gotta love that.
We should change one of these.
No, we don't need to watch The Invitation. We got classics. We're rolling up. The classics are continuing.
Too many classics on here.
There's not too many classics on there. This is classic.
We need to be scared.
What? You don't think... Oh, The Exorcist isn't scary? Come on, man. The Exorcist...
Not that that's bad.
Oh. So, let me ask you, what did you think of this movie, all in all?
I mean, it's fun. I don't think it's great. I'm sorry.
Well, that's fine. You can say it's not great. I mean, the whole thing about it is, a lot of when people see movies shapes how they feel about them.
Right.
Like,
that's true.
And you didn't grow up with this movie. It didn't. It's no. When you start going back and I have no problem with people that don't like movies that I like.
Yeah.
Because if you are watching something the first time you see it, where you are in your life affects where you've seen it, what you've seen before and since. I mean, when I saw this movie, there was nothing remotely like it. And it came out at a time.
I could see how it would be something that people loved if they had seen it in the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's a big thing. James Bond, Star Trek, Doctor Who, whenever you saw these things in your life, you're shaped by...
I mean, yes. Yeah. James Bond.
Yeah, but who's your favorite James Bond?
Who do you think? Hello?
Okay, well...
Hello? Everyone knows the answer to that.
They do. Zardoz. Zed.
Zed
is your favorite James Bond.
Zed is my favorite James Bond.
So, as he should be. But there's a lot of people that their first James Bond, especially if you're growing up now.
Yeah.
Maybe Pierce Brosnan was your first James Bond.
My first James Bond, I think, was Roger Moore.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean...
So how do you...
I loved all the James Bonds, except, what's his name, the one you like?
Sean Connery.
No.
Oh, George Lazenby, on a Majesty's
No,
Secret
I
Service.
like him. The other one. He only did 2, I think.
Oh, Timothy Dalton.
Yeah, I didn't love Timothy Dalton.
Well, that's okay. All right. You can not love Timothy Dalton. So, so back to this movie. When you think of something like Let the Right One In, do you think Let the Right One In is a more effective horror film than American Werewolf in London?
Well, that's like comparing apples and oranges.
No, I know.
I mean, this is a completely different kind of horror film.
But
I mean,
what do you? So I think it's really interesting because structurally they're very similar. They end with these orgies of violence.
Yeah, but one is goofy and one is not.
That is true. So the question I was trying to get around to asking you, I wanted to lead you there, but since I was, so do you think that, like, if you want to have a true horror film, like Nightmare on Elm Street has goofiness in it?
It does.
There's goofiness.
Yeah, and I was thinking that when you brought this up, I was like, okay, what's another kind of comedic, a little bit of goofiness? And I think that Nightmare on Elm Street is a little bit, in my mind, don't get mad at me, everyone. I think it's a better movie than this.
Well, I think it's more tonally consistent.
Yeah.
And no, I think, yeah, I mean, this movie does meander around. I mean, it has there's a lot going on, and I don't think it's as satisfying a film as Nightmare on Elm Street is.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's interesting because when you're comparing and contrasting horror films, there's so many different kinds of horror movies.
There are.
Like, Rosemary. A lot of people don't like. They think Rosemary's Baby is boring and there's no
What?
bloodletting in it.
So
When the whole
good.
movie is it's a psychological. Yeah, it's so good. It's one of my favorites.
It's great.
But then Rosemary's Baby, The Exorcist, I would put Nicholas Roeg's like Don't Look Now, or the George C. Scott and The Changeling. Or these are all.
I haven't seen those.
Well, I think you and I did watch The Changeling.
What's it about?
A ghost guy goes to a house. You wouldn't remember. She forgets everything. But no, that's what I think, that when you're delving into horror, like we've watched. Well, recently we watched Bride of Frankenstein and Black Sunday.
Right.
And Bride of Frankenstein's got goofiness in it, but it's great.
It does, but it's still. Yeah. What is the difference between this goofiness
that's
and
what I'm
that
asking.
goofiness?
There is, and when you look at these things, like when you're dealing with the supernatural, like Martyrs is relentlessly realistic. Martyrs
We're
is
bringing that up again.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying it's the Texas Chainsaw,
Don't watch
relentlessly
Martyrs.
realistic.
I haven't seen it.
But it changes. Like if you're watching something, this movie does not leave you feel like you've been pummeled. This is more like going on a roller coaster ride. But when you watch movies like Let the Right One In or Exorcist or Texas Chainsaw, those are films they're like a relentless gut punch.
Yeah.
They're because they're presented, there's so much verisimilitude that the reality of the horror is not tempered by supernatural shenanigans. It's all
right.
Exorcist could be, but because this innocent soul is corrupted, you don't laugh at it.
Well, that kind of stuff scares me. So the whole being possessed, and when I was younger and it came out, of course I wasn't allowed to see it, and I didn't want to see it. And even when my friends talked about it, it freaked me out. Like I didn't want to talk about that movie. I didn't want to see it. It just scared me.
The first time, it's funny. The first time I ever saw The Exorcist was I got my VCR. Was my present for my bar mitzvah, and I had got Halloween, and then with bar mitzvah money I bought 5 tapes, and one of the tapes I bought was The Exorcist. and I should tell this story. I'll tell it again when we do The Exorcist.
Yeah.
But I waited until midnight to watch The Exorcist. I'd never seen it. I'm 13 years old.
Oh my God.
I couldn't get past the first 5 minutes.
You were
I
scared.
was so scared, and all it was the dig in Iraq. It's just they're in. Father Marin is in Iraq, and it was the tone of it, and like there's some speeded up shots of it was completely realistic. Nothing so much happens. It's all, but there was something about the tone of it. I'm watching this. I was terrified. I'm like, if this movie is just showing me an archaeological dig in Iraq, and I'm this scared.
Yeah.
The way it was showing you the sound design and everything. I'm like, I can't. I literally waited. I was like, I can't watch this, because The Exorcist was so notorious, and it surpassed my expectations. It was
I would love to see you scared now. Like I've never seen you scared. Like has any film recently like scared you?
No.
Or you just hide it?
No,
do you get scared like when we first watched The Autopsy of Jane Doe, or when we first watched The Witch?
Oh, yeah. No. Like I am completely susceptible when The Autopsy of Jane Doe, it doesn't so much scare me as it delights me in a certain intellectual way where I am. Yeah. The Autopsy of Jane Doe I thought was scary. Like I was watching
it
going,
scare you.
Yeah.
But you didn't show it. You don't show it.
No, because I love being scared.
Yeah, totally.
I love it. And when I first saw The Autopsy of Jane Doe, I was also marveling at how well done it is.
That movie scares me every single time I see it.
It's great.
And I've seen it like 5 times.
And a lot of people, I guess that there's some people who don't buy into the premise. Like with this, because horror movies, you have to buy into the premise.
How could you not buy into that premise?
Well, because some people just don't buy into they're realists, they're pragmatists, like, oh, this is hogwash. Well,
if you're that kind of person, then you wouldn't like any horror film.
Right, no, that's true, and a lot of people don't. There's a lot of people that don't like horror.
A lot of people don't.
There's a lot of people that don't like horror, and they don't, as a genre, Some people don't like it because they don't want to be scared and they think there's enough horror in real life, which is true. But to me, like the autopsy of Jane Doe...
Yeah, but watching horror films and being scared is really cathartic. Like, you get to be scared in this unreal world and just, like, deal with your fear, your angst in a way that is, you know, in an unrealistic environment. Like, you know, the movie's not real and you know that. So you get to, like, have to bleed out those emotions in this unreal way, and then it helps you in reality.
Oh, I could
At
see
least
that.
that helps me.
But see, another thing about, like, what I love about the autopsy of Jane Doe is it's played so straight.
Yeah.
You know, you've got these two guys, they're scientists, they're forensic, he's a coroner, and it's the way it unfolds is, if that were to really happen, if there was...
That would never really happen.
But I mean, but if it could, I believe it. Like when I watched the autopsy of Jane Doe, the thing about that, this movie, as the viceroy of verisimilitude, like I am, the whole point for me of movies is I want to believe. I'm like Fox Mulder. I want to believe. So when you give me a horror film that even has all kinds of the most supernatural shenanigans ever, if it's presented to me in a certain way, the tone of it.
Right. Well, if it deals with cults and the devil, like, that feels more real to me.
Well, that's why I love The Invitation. You know, you're watching The Invitation and it's like you're falling around, remember the movie The Ritual we watched on Netflix? God. The Ritual, when they went into the woods, the guy's the hunting trip. By the end, there's the big creature. I mean, that was all real.
Well, I thought you meant that one very strange foreign film that we watched on Netflix. Was such a weird. It was like Russian or some small country.
I don't remember which one.
Oh, it was so weird. The devil was in it and everything.
Oh, Baskin, but the cops.
God, that
Baskin
movie was so
Baskin.
Weird.
Everybody's. If you haven't seen Baskin,
oh my God, that movie.
It's Turkish.
Turkish.
Baskin is Turkish. It's a Muslim horror film.
Oh my God.
Oh, if you guys haven't seen Baskin, I think it's still on Netflix. Don't read anything about it.
We should have put that on the list.
We should have put that on. That's bad.
I could barely get through it.
John Schnepp.
I don't even know if I watched the whole thing.
John Schnepp told me about Baskin.
That movie.
I'll never forget. I was. We were doing an episode of Heroes. I walk and he stops me and he puts both hands on my shoulders. He's a big guy. I was like, "What's up?" He goes, "You have to watch Baskin," because he had watched it the night before, and I'm like, okay, that's why we watched it.
And then you came home and you're like, we have to watch this movie.
There's a Turkish horror film that we have to watch. And
I was like, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was like, oh my God, this movie.
And the movie starts out with just a bunch of racist asshole cops that go on a drug bust. That's how it begins.
Yep. But then weird shit happens.
A lot of weird shit happens. It's Baskin is
Baskin.
Yeah. I don't have Baskin on physical media. I should get it. That's something I'd want in a collection just to have. I mean, half the things that I like to get are just, it's my curated collection. Like when I die, there'll be movies I haven't even watched the discs, but I love the movies.
When
so
you die, what do you think is going to happen to all this stuff?
Well, I would hope that, my collection would be bequeathed to you.
Okay, and what do you think I'm going to do with all this stuff?
I don't know. Sell it?
No, I don't know. Some of it I will keep and cherish.
You should keep my collection of movies.
And I'll play with all the...
yeah, I'll be dead, so I won't care.
With all the action figures.
Yep. Anyway, so, I mean, do you like this movie? You came away, you're a fan, though.
I like this movie.
You don't love it?
I don't love this movie. I like it.
All right. Well, we have a letter about it. We do have a letter, as I put on me. Somebody said that, I forget what they said, but about these glasses. I really need a cool pair of glasses, too.
I keep showing you glasses.
I know, I need to get something cool. This letter comes from Black Philip Alvarez. Black Philip Alvarez says, "Greetings once again, Rob, Elizabeth, and fellow PGS family. Originally, my letter was going to be about my love of the werewolf genre, but a fellow chairman suggested I make it about the transformation scene, as well as other films that have relied on great practical effects over the years. But first allow me to give a quick overview of my appreciation for tonight's movie, An American Werewolf in London. The film is a perfect balance of both comedy and horror, as one does not overwhelm the other. It's genuinely funny at times and downright scary. John Landis did an amazing job with the direction of this film. It became his trademark to combine comedy with any other genre. The build-up of the film is done quite well, beginning with the bar scene that sets up the premise of the film. It's filled with tension, and it's funny seeing David and Jack laugh it off at first, which is another great thing about the film. You care about the characters and believe the close friendship of David and Jack. Now, spoilers who don't know about the demise of Jack, but the makeup effects after he's mauled by the wolf are fantastic. Both done humorously and disgusting in a great way, and the scene is very comical anyway. I loved how every time we see Jack, his makeup gets more grotesque. The scene in the porn theater is my favorite look. The other makeup is done on the victims of David's are just as good. Again, the acting sells the look and used as comic relief. Now, as far as the romantic subplot with the nurse, I just didn't give a damn. Sorry, Liz. Laugh out loud. She was pretty hot, though, and we see a little bit of tatas. That's what's written. A little bit of tatas. The one thing I thought
I
this movie.
wonder if you thought of it that way.
Yeah, well, the one thing I thought this movie did well was choosing to end in such a bleak way. Spoilers: it's assumed David is killed by the police, and the film just ends right there. Now let's get to the main focus of this letter. The genius and perfectly well executed wolf transformation scene done by makeup artist Rick Baker. The film has the dubious honor of being the first film to receive the Best Makeup Oscar, and it's certainly well deserved. The scene, although only 3 minutes long, is both scary and painful to watch. The details are fantastic. We hear the cracking of bones and skin being stretched. David Naughton does a masterful job of selling the transformation as well. You feel his pain, and the finished wolf is actually quite terrifying. This scene holds up nearly 40 years later. I totally agree. The main reason, of course, is practical effects. Many horror films of the 80s relied heavily on practical effects. Another werewolf film, The Howling, which came out the same year as American Werewolf, had its effects done by Baker colleague Rob Bottin. He was also known for the great transformation scenes in John Carpenter's classic The Thing. Once again, all these scenes look fantastic many years later. I would also like to give an honorable mention to the 1985 Michael J. Fox comedy Teen Wolf. It's a silly movie. Sure, even Fox disowns it. However, the transformation scene actually scared me as a kid and was well done for a short scene. It hasn't really aged well, as the other films mentioned above, though. Still, my main point is that the use of practical effects and makeup effects is what defines the horror genre and sells the films. It's what makes them so scary and memorable. The list goes on and on, from Alien to Terminator. Certainly the Romero Dead films wouldn't be what they are without Tom Savini's brilliant makeup and effects. Although I don't much care for them, the first two Hellraiser films have great makeup and practical effects as well. The one effect I do believe, though, that low-budget horror films always got wrong was when it involved walking while on fire. Even the original Elm Street is guilty of this, where the stuntman is in this giant suit and weird mask. They're more comical than scary. Oh well, beggars can't be choosers. Maybe it's why, when it comes to today's horror, I appreciate the ones less focused on shock value. They simply rely too much on CGI. Even the Saw films were guilty of too much CGI for gore. I also can't stand the use of CGI blood. It's also why I didn't care for the Wolfman remake. Yes, it was scary and gory, but the CGI transformation really hurt the movie. And yes, even barely 10 years later, is dated already. Thank God I can at least go back and watch older horror movies that had better effects. Too much CGI as far as my beloved horror genre is blasphemy. In conclusion, thank you, Rob and Elizabeth, for covering one of my favorite werewolf films, An American Werewolf in London. I look forward to the next movie covered for October. Take care and be safe. Happy Halloween. What a lovely letter from Black Philip Alvarez. Yes. Philip makes a really good point. I worked in a makeup effects facility for a couple of years. I worked on Army of Darkness, I worked on the Swamp Thing television show, I worked on a movie called Cast a Deadly Spell, and Sleepwalkers, and yeah. So it was a lot of fun. Now, I was just a runner. I was a glorified PA, basically. But it was great to watch these animatronics made and
yes.
everything. And one of the things that I think is really problematic when it comes to CG transformations is CG transformations tend to be one-dimensional. Mm-hmm. Like you in this, when you see the great physical effect of David McNaughton's, the hand stretching,
yeah,
that's a real object. You might know that it's not a real hand,
right?
But because it's in front of his face and the effect is tricking you, it feels painful.
It does.
And CG, especially like when you watch, like in movies like the Species movies, when Syl transforms, or even when Mystique transforms in the first X-Men, there's no physicality to it.
Right.
You know, you don't. It's all just CG. You don't see the tearing flesh. You don't see, and it. I think it's ineffective. I think having CG transformations has never worked. It just doesn't work. Not like this. You know, when you see a snout,
you know it's not real. It doesn't feel real, and so,
no verisimilitude.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Not
good. Well, let's see. We got the people rolling, sending things in here. S Beam sends in a 4-parter. S Beam says, "Hello, Rob and Elizabeth. Firstly, thanks for changing the schedule to accommodate this film. I was just a boy when I saw this movie. It's one of the first memories I have with my late Uncle Mike, who showed me this movie. This was the first horror movie I'd ever watched and has stuck with me to this day. For instance, like meatloaf jokes, sticking to the road, or even when I would shower with a girlfriend or now ex-wife, Moondance would instantly pop in my head. I also remember pointing out Fozzie Bear when he entered the hospital room.
Fozzie Bear!
For me, it's the one that set the bar for future horror movie experiences. The setting, the makeup, the effects, the story was, and still is, so captivating. And that howl, so creepy. It gives me chills." Actually, wait a minute. I should switch over to this.
The howl is creepy.
Yeah. "I meant to write a letter for this evening's movie, but was busy with work and my kids. Once they're ready for scary movies, this will be the one that I show them. I hope I'm not still at work when I watch this. Cheers." Well, here's to you, S-Beam.
Cheers.
Cheers. And here's to your uncle for showing you this film. Good on you, Uncle. Eric Gant sends in a tip and says, "Guys, I freaking love this movie. It isn't the most terrifying horror film I've ever seen. It isn't the goriest, but the way the movie managed to successfully balance tension, jump scares, humor, and a dash of the good old-fashioned TNA is perfect." Well, Eric, here's to that. One of the great things about horror films is TNA. You want to get tits and ass.
I was like, wait, what?
TNA, that's what you want. I mean, I think any great horror movie also has, like, look.
Hey, there's even peen in this movie.
There you go, peen. Well, one of the great horror films of all time, one of the great ghost stories, is Don't Look Now with Donald Sutherland and Julie Christie, that has a sex scene that goes on for a long time, and famously, they actually apparently did the deed while the film...
You're kidding.
No, I have it. I have the beautiful Studio Canal 4-disc set of Don't Look Now.
They actually did it?
Apparently. You can tell. It's pretty hot.
Is that a rumor, or is that like...
Well, we could watch the movie. You should see it. Don't Look Now is great.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Don't Look Now. Timula, the Spider Monkey's here. Tim is here. This has to be my favorite werewolf movie. I remember seeing it with my eldest brother on video when I was about 7, not long after he showed me Alien and The Thing. I guess he's more responsible for my taste in movies than anyone else. I love hearing that because, you know, horror films, more than any other genre, they're the kind of thing that we can pass down. Like, I always regretted not having... I don't have kids of my own, but I really wanted to warp their brains by showing them inappropriate material before they were totally ready.
Well, you kind of did that with Sophie, so...
Yeah, but she was older. I'm talking about, like, when a kid's 8.
Yeah, she was 10, 11. She was 11 when we got together.
Yeah, but what did I show her that was so bad?
Stuff that I wouldn't have showed to her.
Well, yeah, but you're no fun.
And then you started showing her, and I was like, and then I gave up. I was like, okay, this is happening now.
But she liked it.
She loves it.
She loves it.
She loves that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I that's my big regret in life is not having children, so I could, you know, be the cool dad. Like, hey, let's watch Martyrs. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't have shown the Martyrs. I wouldn't have done it.
That's child abuse.
I would not have shown kids Martyrs. I was very good when I worked in video stores. I was the best. I was the sommelier of VHS because I knew what to give people. I knew I would curate their experience, and everybody always came to me because I always knew all my customers. I would never give anybody anything inappropriate. But I could always say, like, if you want to watch horror, if your kid wants to watch horror, you could watch, like, Fright Night is a horror movie that you can watch with kids. It skews a little younger. You can get away with it.
I've never seen it.
But there's a little, I think there's, when I say, not for an 8-year-old. But, you know, I would show a 12-year-old Fright Night.
I wouldn't know.
No, I would. Tim says, He told me I'd like it because it had Rick Mayall from The Young Ones in it. Well, I did like it, but I didn't even notice Rick Mayall until I watched it another couple of times. I was too focused on Jenny Agutter, I guess, as well you should be. Swack Props is here. Let's drink to Cal. Why did Pazuzu cross the road? Because the power of Christ compelled him. That's an Exorcist joke.
Oh.
Let's hear it for Swack Props, ladies and gentlemen. Roberto Suarez is here. Roberto Suarez says, John Landis fell into obscurity a few years after filming Werewolf. After his controversial involvement in Twilight Zone, the movie, his son Max Landis is apparently working on a remake of Werewolf now. How do you feel about the idea of a remake? Well, they did make an American Werewolf in Paris, which is terrible because all of the transformations were CG. It was bad. Not good. I mean, I guess you could remake this, but I don't see the reason. Like, why would you don't have to, why bother?
Why remake this?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I'd remake this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to add to it that's...
I mean, I guess you could make it better.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to look into... I don't know if Max Landis is going to be making anything anytime soon, though, but... I don't know. I mean, yeah, look, I am not against the idea of remaking something as long as the filmmakers have a new twist, or they have a new look, or they have something like, look, Invasion of the Body Snatchers and The Thing and The Fly are three of my favorite remakes, and if they're good, but this, I mean, I think if this story were a little bit more focused, you could retell this story in an interesting way.
I mean, I like the idea. The first part is really cool when they go to the pub. I mean, you could break off from there and do something a little different, maybe. Maybe something a little more serious, not so goofy.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it, and maybe you could turn it more into an erotic thriller. Like, you could do something where maybe the female character gets off on the fact that he transforms or something.
Right.
Well, something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, combine it with Basic Instinct.
Yes.
Something like that. That could be good. Hey, look who's here. V for Throgvember. You're stretching it there, Throg. I didn't like this film the first time. It grew on me, and by the time I was 16, it was a favorite. I have about 5 versions and waiting for the 4K release domestically. I enjoyed Underworld's CG and practical mix, but that was the first one only. Yeah, I Underworld's I have a love-hate relationship with that franchise. But yeah, it did a pretty good job with that. Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
Well, you haven't seen any of the Underworld movies?
Mm-mm.
It's vampires and werewolves.
Oh.
They're like, which is, again, the Underworld movies have a heavy fantasy, sci-fi aspect to them.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that.
I can watch that.
Yeah. But yeah, I can see, like, not liking this movie and coming to like it more as you get older. I mean, I think that when you're a kid, there are horror movies that you don't necessarily like because when you're a kid, like, I wouldn't have liked Rosemary's Baby very much when I was 10. I needed to be older to understand why that movie was... Mm-hmm. Like, I loved Black Sunday when I was a little kid.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, what's the point?
I have.
We did it for the show, babe.
Oh, yeah.
Black Sunday. Remember the witch?
Yes. Yes.
With Barbara Steele. We just watched it like last week.
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes.
This is what it's like to live with her. It's like, hey, it's like that movie we watched the other day, and you're like, what movie?
I don't remember that kind of stuff. If it's not super important, I don't remember it.
So, are you saying that
it's my thyroid? I'm sorry. It's because I have thyroid problems.
You're going to blame not remembering we watched a movie last week on your thyroid problems?
Yes. Look it up. It's true.
Okay, okay. Frogman's got nards. Oh, there's a Monster Squad reference. Nicely done. Going to watch Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein next. Just need to laugh. By the way, the Arrow disc is great, says Tim the Spider Monkey. It is. I mean, Arrow is, to me... look, I love Scream Factory. Thank you, Scream Factory, for putting this out. Hand me that. Hand me that box. Yeah, put that down. I'm a big fan of Scream Factory. I mean, look at this.
You should
look,
switch the
yeah,
camera
I'll switch the cameras.
so people
I mean,
can see.
This Friday the 13th box Scream Factory put out with this wraparound artwork, amazing. It's amazing, you know. But I do think that Arrow is the creme de la creme. Arrow is they do it right. I mean, there's Scarlet box, their Phantasm box. Although I have to show you something really cool. You want to see something really cool?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, hand me that box, that Eden Lake box. See this right here? That box? Yeah. I'll switch it out. So, there's a movie with Michael Fassbender that if you haven't seen it, as Dieter Bastian will say, it's a gut punch of a movie. It's called Eden Lake. This is actually a film I've never seen. I've only read about it. But look at this.
Oh. Whoa.
So.
No, that's really. Wait a second.
No, hang on. Hang on.
This looks so real.
It is. It's 3-dimensional. It's like a 3D. Look at this. So, here's the box for Eden Lake. This is more like a beta tape. But, and you open it up. And there's the disc. So the disc is in there, and it has.
Yeah, no, that's really cool.
And apparently, this movie I've been trying to get. The reason I haven't seen this movie is it's really hard to get on physical media, and I haven't been able to get it. I've had it ordered forever if it ever came out. But Dieter found this for me. This is the actual Austrian release of Eden Lake, and I was very happy to get this. I have not actually seen this.
Is this a horror film?
Yes, and it's a gut punch of a horror film. It's I don't know if you'd like it, but
is it like Martyrs?
Yeah, it's got that Martyrs vibe. So Tim said that the Arrow disc is great. It's true. Michael Preston sends in a super chat and says, "Great movie. There's nothing about this movie I don't love. As your new dealer, Sony the 77-inch OLED dropped to $3,500. Love you guys. Elizabeth, let Rob get it." I don't think Elizabeth would have a problem if I was able to get that Sony 77-inch OLED.
If we had the money, I would be like, yeah.
Yeah, if we had that, or I could find a place to buy it on credit or something. That's, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we could do that, but probably should pay the utility bill first.
We'll pay that utility bill. Sure we will. North American Ham Rammer sends in a super chat and says, "Ow, Werewolves of London." Ow, that's Warren Zevon. Yeah. His hair was perfect. My hair is perfect. Look at that. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's some sexy hair.
Is it my sexy? I'm looking 70s, man. I'm growing the 70s.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm becoming 70s dude.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but there you go.
You should grow a big fat mustache.
No. I can't go 70s porn.
Why does it have to be porn? Everyone in the 70s had a mustache and long hair.
All right. You're right. This wine's really good.
I'm loving it.
I'm loving it.
You're loving it?
Yeah, now I want to go to McDonald's. Damn it.
McDonald's?
Yeah.
You have the munchies?
I'm loving it. No, I don't have the munchies. I haven't been to McDonald's in a long time. You know, sometimes you just get a McDonald's craving. I think they build that into us since we're children.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, you get this I haven't had McDonald's. I can't remember the last time I had McDonald's.
Years and years and years.
Yeah, I don't remember.
So I don't get that craving anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or I ignored the craving.
Yeah. Justin Toner sends in a super chat and says, "Hi guys, I love this movie very much. A horror classic. The makeup and special effects still hold up. I will get the Arrow Blu-ray edition soon. You should. I mean, this Arrow, what's great about this, first of all, they have these, I love these matte finish boxes. But the Arrow version not only does it come with a movie, it comes with the poster of their new artwork, and then it comes with this great book. Really nice. I mean, it's a book of essays on the film and stuff. It's really good. And it's definitely worth owning, as most Arrow editions are. I'm a huge fan of Arrow, in case you didn't realize that.
Yes.
You know, Arrow, there's no European release for the Hills Run Red, so if anybody's out there, I'd love for Arrow Academy or something to put it out. Just saying. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Swag Props asks, what did you think of the sequel, An American Werewolf in Paris? Not much. I was not... It had some interesting stuff in it, but I didn't like it very much.
So what's the story with that?
I don't even remember. I saw it once.
How does an American werewolf, get to Paris?
Plane.
He takes a plane.
How does anybody get anywhere?
How did he become a werewolf?
I don't even remember. I saw it once, and I was really, really disappointed in it. Because I was excited. I was really disappointed. So,
when did that come out?
No idea. 20 years ago?
You usually know all this
I know,
stuff.
but I only know things that I like. Like,
That's true.
if I don't like something, it does not stay in my mind. You know, I have to like it. And American Werewolf in Paris, I did not like.
There you go.
So, that brings us to the end of our show, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
So, tomorrow night, we're going to watch the original Friday the 13th.
We are.
The classic.
I haven't seen it.
You've never seen Friday the 13th?
Never.
It's interesting because I'll tell you, when I saw Friday the 13th, I want to say it was a birthday movie. In 1980. I believe it came out in May of 1980. Let me find out. Let me look at this newfangled thing called the internet and find out when Friday the 13th release date. Let's see when it came out. Friday the 13th, 1980. May 9th. Yes. So, okay. When Friday the 13th came out, my birthday is May 15th. This was my birthday movie. My dad took me and some friends to we went to the Coliseum Theater and saw this. And it came out 11 days before my bar mitzvah.
Wow.
You know, or no, not a little more than that. It was 11 days before Empire Strikes Back opened. It's 12 days. Empire Strikes Back came out. May of 1980 was a big month. And seeing this movie, because Tom Savini does the special effects, same as Dawn of the Dead, and this movie was hardcore when it came out.
Yeah.
The violence was amazing. To me, the original Friday the 13th has some of the great kills of all time. I mean, all the kills in Friday the 13th are consistently good. The original.
Is it going to be something I don't like?
No. I think you'll like it because it's fun.
Okay.
It's fun. But what's interesting about the original Friday the 13th is it was criticized because of the violence when it first came out. Because Halloween, which is, everyone holds that up, that has very little blood. And Halloween has barely any blood in it at all. Even though people die, but Halloween is not gory. Not really.
I don't love gore.
Well, Friday the 13th is a gore fest, and it's great. And I remember seeing it, but I was 12. I hadn't turned 13 yet. And it was just, I remember just raving. We came out of the theater, and because my dad had to take us in,
And of course he didn't stay.
He didn't stay. I'll pick you boys up in an hour and a half. Thanks, Dad. Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah. My dad was very indulgent. 12 years old, seeing Friday the 13th. It was fantastic. But it caused a huge problem because in the year when Friday the 13th Part 2 came out, it was heavily edited. The gore was cut.
Oh.
And it was a big deal. And apparently on that box set just came out this week, that box set they found a videotape that had all the gore scenes that were cut. No one has ever seen the violence from Friday the 13th Part 2 uncut. They found a videotape. They had to bake it. Like, they baked the tape to make sure that it was okay to play.
Baked it.
Yeah, you bake it. I mean, it's a 30. It was a
Like
30.
literally bake
Yeah, you
it?
bake it. You get it hot, so I guess it makes sure that the metal oxide doesn't flake off the tape or something like that.
You're kidding.
No, I don't know how quite.
Well, I've
I
heard
don't-
that term before. I'm like, but they're not really baking.
Yeah, no, they're baking.
Oh my god,
They
that's
literally-
crazy.
So again, I haven't seen it. I'm really looking forward. Obviously, I haven't even cracked that
Is
open
it
yet.
part of the movie or it's just
No,
like,
it's special features.
Oh yeah.
It's special features, but yeah.
Why didn't they add it back in?
Because it was only on a videotape, so at VHS, NTSC, it looked terrible. What are you gonna do? So anyway, I guess that will be the end. So tomorrow night we are watching Friday the 13th, the original.
Yes, we
From
are.
1980, 40 years old. It's crazy to me that I saw Friday the 13th when I was 12 in the theater the weekend it opened, the day after it opened. So I actually saw it on May 10th,
Very cool.
and Empire Strikes Back opened on May 21st. So yeah, it was 11 days.
Exciting.
Exciting and new. Come aboard. We're expecting you. Camp Crystal Lake.
No.
Soon you'll be making more summer memories until Jason shows up, or does he in this movie? Because that's the real thing. That's the real kicker about the original Friday the 13th, but I'm not going to tell you that yet.
Okay.
You're
Don't
going to have
tell
to
me.
find out for yourself.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Because a lot of people forget something about the first Friday the 13th that is not true of the others.
I haven't seen any, so I don't know what you're
I
talking
know.
about.
Well, now you can watch all of them. You know that we can watch, when you see Friday the 13th, we can watch Freddy versus Jason.
Okay.
They
that'd be cool.
fight. Anyway, why don't you take us out, Elizabeth?
We haven't even rated this film.
Oh, yeah, we're not going... Yeah, that's right. First of all, we haven't even done that. Let's talk about our whining about movies bottoms-up scale. What is that?
The bottoms up scale is from 1 to 4 glasses because there are 4 glasses of wine in a bottle.
There are. And so, how are you going to rate this film?
I'm going to give this 3 glasses.
3 glasses. That's pretty high. I, too, am going to give this 3
Well,
glasses.
I didn't hate it, like I said.
Right. No, I definitely think this is not a 4-star horror film, but I'll give
No.
it 3 glasses. Respectable. Yeah. It's a remarkable. It's a monument as far as the genre is concerned.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's fun.
it is fun. It's good. All right, 3 glasses. By the way, Throgging Bad says Walter White ain't got shit on me. Rob, I was wondering, do you like the film The Fourth Kind, starring Mila Jovovich? I have never seen it. I know the film. I know what you're talking about. I love Mila Jovovich. But I've never seen The Fourth Kind. I've never seen it.
I don't know.
I have not
what
seen
that
it,
is.
Throg. I feel bad. So we both give this three glasses of wine.
3 glasses.
Well, that's good. All right. Well, I want to thank our moderating staff. I want to thank Mike Bodden. I want to thank, of course, Greg Smith. I want to thank the Richard. Aloha. I want to thank the Richard for having our watch parties and making sure that, the Richard is like the concierge of the Post-Geek Singularity.
Oh, he's saying that there's more super chats.
Is there? Oh, let's see. Is there? I don't. Do I see? No. This way. Oh wait, Justin Toner
Yeah.
He says, "Hi guys, I love this movie very much. A horror classic. Oh, I read this. The makeup and special effects still hold up. I'll get the Blu-ray edition soon. I read that. And yeah, I read all it. We're caught up.
Okay, he was just saying that. I
Oh,
didn't know.
we are caught up. But anyway, I want to thank the Richard for having watch parties. Go over to the Post-Geek Singularity Facebook page or the Whining About Movies Facebook page. And the Richard is always throwing watch parties. And that's always good. Let's see. I want to thank Joshua Levesque. I want to thank Mr. Derringer. I want to thank Bunyan Snipe all the way from the UK. What the hell time is it over there, Bunyan
Wow.
Snipe? My God. Do you ever sleep?
That's dedication. Maybe he's a vampire.
Mr. Derringer, and of course our new moderator, MC Blackcap. I want to have a night Blackcap with our new moderator, MC Blackcap. I like that. So everybody's here, I guess. So I want to thank you all for doing the great job that you do. Let's hear it for our moderating staff. Cheers to that.
Cheers.
So there we go. And of course, Throg for coming up with all those different names that he always comes up with.
Always.
And, you know, it's funny. I never thought that there would ever be somebody in my life, every time I wipe my ass, I would think of. But with Throg, I do. I mean, I don't know if he appreciates that or not, but I know we're better people for it. So
he does take care
thank
of
you, Throg.
our butts.
Mm-hmm. And keep looking at the Intergalactic Imagination Connoisseurs Film Festival. We got a lot more films dropping. I'm looking forward to it. And
send in your films.
Send in your films. Why aren't you making movies? Make a movie.
Make a movie.
And on that note...
And write a short story.
Oh, right. And our short story competition. Don't forget, the short story competition ends on February 14th, Valentine's Day. And also the book, the anthology is called The Imagination Connoisseurs. And we're opening up the book cover contest. I mean, how cool is that going to be? You design a cover, and we're gonna make a hardcover book with a dust jacket.
Yeah, very cool.
It's pretty cool. And you can enter that contest beginning December 2nd, after the film festival entries are over.
Very cool.
And then write a short story, and if you make it into the anthology, it's going to get published. And we're going to have profit sharing. We're going to try and sell them.
Ooh.
Yeah, there you go. So this ends Elizabeth's 87.
What?
We've done 87. You know what?
87.
What movie should we watch for the 100th episode of Elizabeth's? We should throw it out to the audience.
Yes.
We should send us your suggestions. What should be our 100th movie?
What should be our 100th movie?
And should we have like a double feature? We should do a double feature.
We should probably do.
We'll do a double. So what 2 movies should we watch?
Yeah.
But Dieter Bastian's here. He says Eden Lake is disturbing in another way than Martyrs. Rob should do a watch ahead, make the decision if it's Elizabeth's worthy. I think it is.
Of course you do, Dieter.
Well, I will say this, Dieter. That Austrian disc is amazing. If you look at it, they've got this 3D thing on the make the videotape. It looks like you're looking inside the window. It's very clever. It's very worth. I want to thank you. Here's to Dieter. Thanks for getting me that disc, sir. I didn't even know it existed. You know what Dieter showed me? Dieter showed me he has a Czechoslovakian box set of Terminator 2. And it's unbelievable. I mean, it's gorgeous.
Really?
I didn't even know Czechoslovakia made their own. Now I'm like, why don't they have Czechoslovakia Amazon? I mean, there was no way for me to even know that anything like I've never seen.
How did he get it?
Because he's in Europe and he's smart. Dieter knows his shit. Dieter, like if you mention something, like I put him on the case, I'm like, bruh, I need Roman Polanski's new movie about the Dreyfus affair. That's amazing, and it's only in France. You can't get it anywhere. Anywhere.
So is he going to drive to France and get it?
Well, it doesn't exist. It's not. There's no English subtitles.
We've done Amelie. I appreciate you bringing that up. I mean, that would be awesome.
Amelie is our bonding movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's our
But
bond.
we did Amelie.
Hmm. We did Amelie. Yes, we did.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, the Dreyfus affair, the Roman Polanski movie. I can't wait to see it. His new film.
Oh.
But you can't. I mean, Dieter's looking. I was like, bruh, can you get? Is there a disc that?
Well,
does...
I have family in France.
Yeah, but they don't have. What I'm saying is, there's no English subtitles on the disc. It's only available in French.
Well, I could watch it.
Oh, great!
And I could tell you what's going on.
No, I don't want to do that. I did that once in my life.
Then maybe you should learn French, babe.
Yeah, well, there you go. But
For
not
when we live there.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. Shadow of the Vampire. Everybody's talking about Shadow of the Vampire.
What's that?
Yeah, it's a movie about the making of Nosferatu. It's good. It's good.
You know what we should do?
No, I don't.
We should do Basic Instinct and Don't Fuck with Cats.
That's not a bad double bill. I don't know. You know, I'm waiting for the. I can't. I need to get the new 4K of Basic Instinct, and I don't know if that's not going to be there for the 100th.
Well, we can just watch what you have.
Yeah,
and
but
don't fuck with cats.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. No, I know. But we got to let the viewers decide for the 100th.
Look it up, guys. It's a good idea.
Martyrs for the 100th.
Oh, man, no.
So
Of course Black Phillip would say that.
Yeah, Black Phillip Alvarez. So pick the double feature that we're going to do for the 100th episode. And it can be, I can't wait to find out what it's going to be.
Oh, that's a good idea. La Femme Nikita and Leon the Professional.
That's not a bad double. That's a pretty good double feature. By the way, everybody, next week, next Saturday, is our official Halloween live stream.
That's right.
So
it's the Halloween party.
It's the Halloween party. We're going to have a Zoom Halloween party
On
next Saturday at 4 o'clock Pacific time. And we, the only way you can get into it doesn't cost anything. You don't have to tip us anything or anything like that. But you have to wear a costume. You have to have some costume, and you will be allowed in.
Yeah.
And we're going to party.
And
we're
your
just
costume only has to be from the waist up.
Yeah, from the waist up or whatever. So we look forward to seeing you. That's in 6 days. 6 days from
I better
today.
make my costume.
Yeah, I gotta come up with a costume. Yeah, it's the 18th. That'll be on the 24th, and it'll be 4 o'clock on Saturday. So it's going to be fun. Yeah. Well, now comes Elizaviews. Episode 87 comes to an end. Tomorrow, Friday the 13th. We might have to, you know what, do you have school tomorrow? Do we have to push it to Tuesday?
I don't have school tomorrow.
Oh, good, okay. Well, there you go. Friday the 13th. So why don't you take us out?
All right. Everyone you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear, and all you have to do is listen.
And with that,
have a better night.
Have a butter knife if you are BL Alley. So there you go.
Or a Nutter Butter.
Or a Nutter Butter. Thanks, everybody.
Good night.